Just before I go, a couple of things I wanted to say. I know a lot of you enjoy cruising holidays, but a word of caution. Crime rate in passenger ships these days is quite heavy. About 24 people a year go missing, and we don't know if they fell overboard or they were murdered and thrown overboard. But that's a high total, even with the number of ships out there. Thefts, muggings, rapes, all on top of this. But you never hear about it. Oh, not very much anyway, sometimes. One of the big factors that's changed is that in my day on liner service, that's going from, say, Australia to England or to India to England or whatever. Ships were a sovereign state, the way they are now, but they were investigated by the port or their next port on the way. And if somebody had been caught stealing, they were thrown in the brig. The usual thing was then to hand them over to port authorities, and stuffed in their back pocket was what was called an NMD1, Merchant Marine Discharge 1, never to go back to sea. And that's a pretty fair punishment. So we've got our 23 to 25 people a year never come back from a cruise. I find that sad. There are a lot of things I find sad at the moment. The Americans have made the rule that only they can investigate what happened in American flagged or crewed ships, mainly flagged, of course. And this is where it's all gone wrong, because money. The cruise lines don't want huge investigations into what goes on board. And the Americans, after forcing themselves on board, do whatever the cruise companies want them to do. They're like me, they're quite toothless. Wrong. Very wrong. How many times have you heard of a court case in America where rape's involved, when somebody's raped on board a cruise ship? I bet you can't find one. Yet there's, forget the statistics, I think it was about 120 a year. So, if you're thinking of going on a cruise, I just want you to be aware of that fact. Next, in the past I've got myself into a lot of trouble by even writing articles, because I do a bit of writing these days, regarding how safe these new cruise ships are. And in my view, as an out-of-date dinosaur who plodded around in ships with steel hulls and steel superstructures, they're not. Not at all. They work pretty close to the limit on their electrical output, meaning even if they've got two big generators there, most of the time they're working at 90%. You go over that because of special needs, shall we say, and the whole lot can go. Fire is another big one. You can have all the safety regulations that you like, but when you've got a 140,000 ton ship with 3,000 plus souls on board and there's a fire, you got problems. You've got big problems. In the past we had fires. We had lots of fires in ships. It happens, you know, same as ashore. And a ship is a city. There's no two ways about it. It is, and it's prone to all the problems that a city has. The difference now is that, unlike in my time, I've been to sea since 2004, but in my time, even with passenger ships on P&O, British India, and a few of the others, there were professional crews, professional seamen, even down to the Goanese stewards in the dining rooms and the Indian deck crew, the Pakistani engine crew. They were trained, and it was a father-to-son job, and you felt safe. Now, crews are, I think I've mentioned this before, a lot of them are just students taking a gap year or something or other. They haven't got any real idea about the ship or what it does. And in an emergency, they will be totally useless. And I mean totally useless. There's too many passengers. They can overwhelm a crew like that. Any nation can panic, not just the Americans. They're good panickers, but the British, the French, the Italians, they're great at panicking. Sorry about that. Now, so it's the crew that I think is the weak spot, plus the construction methods of the ships, too close to all safe working limits all the way through, plus the experience of most of the officers on board. I had a lot of people come up to me when the Costa Concordia went over on its side and said, "You were right, it's dangerous." But that's not the one I'm talking about. Costa Concordia was in shallow water, went on its side on a sandbank, and most people got off. Picture a different scenario. Deep water, no sandbank, a big fire, or maybe an explosion. That can happen, and the ship's going down. What do you reckon your chances are? With all the modern gear under the sun, I would say you've got a 25% chance, maybe 30%. This goes up, of course, if there's another ship close by that can render assistance, but don't count on it, old son, or soness. It's unlikely, unless you're close to the entrance or exit to a port. So I wanted to get that off my chest. I've been in trouble in the past about it. They don't like it when you put pen to paper. But it's real, and it's going to get worse, because the crews are useless, totally. In 2007, I was taken in a cruise because I was recovering from a couple of operations, and they all thought going back to sea would be good. How wrong can you be? And I stepped on board a P&O ship, knew a few of the people, even after so many years. And what I found was tat. It was tatty. Small things. I asked for a lime squash in the bar because I wasn't allowed to drink, although I must admit, did sneak a few whiskies. And the fella hands me a can of Solo. So I looked at it and put it down and said, "No, I want a lemon squash." And he said, "Oh, that's a lemon squash, soda water. And I said, no. The way it used to be made was, you used to have the taps with the various, I suppose you'd call them cordials in, and they'd pour that into the glass, and then they'd top it up with soda water and a bit of lime or lemon or whatever you were having. And you got the glass in a napkin. You don't want those dreaded drips on your shirt. The purser went past and said hello. And do you know how he did it? He went, hello. I just walked away. I mean, the pursers I knew were all rogues, and they didn't do that at all. But let's get off that for a second. The other reason that I don't know if I'll be back or not is that I have been informed that the veracity of some of my short tales has been questioned. Now, this doesn't make me angry, but it makes me very sad that people have so little brain power or imagination to think that after 40 years at sea, nothing ever happened. Believe me, I've got 1,000 stories like those. That's why we stayed there. That's what it was all about. You never knew. You could end up in a lifeboat, did that twice. You could achieve your objective, especially with salvage or diving on wrecks for evidence of fraud. We used to do a lot of that for insurance companies. And yet people think that that can't happen, that it's all airy-fairy up in the sky. Well, it's because of what happened back then that I'm laying here now. You don't get away with it scot-free. It comes back on you in later life. Do I feel sorry for people? No, because I don't like the human race really. But I do think they need to expand and understand that not everything is in their little world. There was a bigger one out there. And of course, 40 to 45 years ago, it was a wild place out there. It's got a lot better now. One of my Twilight Sunshine stories is when I was still in the RM. I did the last of the Arctic patrols. It was supposed to be 3 months and 2 weeks. No, it wasn't. Yeah, 14 weeks. Yeah, that would have been about right. And it was the worst winter in recorded history for that part where we were. And even the ship started to get brittle. At one stage I sat in the cabin. I was the second guns, and I couldn't remember how to unbutton my jacket. So cold. Had been for weeks. We were getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Finally the captain broke off the patrol and we headed south, which was a very beautiful world. But if I was to tell that story, people would think, oh no, that can't happen. He's making it up. Am I angry? I say I'm not, but I think I am in a way. That all our exploits, all the things we did are just poo-pooed by people today. That's sad. Anyway, I'm off tomorrow, a few days earlier than I thought it was going to be, but some tests have revealed better speed things up a bit. I don't know when I'll be back, or even if I'll be back, because I'm not going to tell stories if nobody's interested in them. I've been looking at these people doing these reaction videos, a lot of it with music from the 60s to the 80s, and Most of them have never heard the music, don't know what it is, don't understand what act was behind it. The trouble is I can't understand most of them, and I can't see myself ever calling anybody dude or laughing about the words hip-hop. I still don't know what hip-hop is. I'm assuming it's something to do with, what's that brain dead thing music they got, these rapping, yes. So I'm assuming it's something to do with that. But I might give that a thought. People don't want the past. Let's give them a different past, a musical one. And although I'm blowing my own trumpet, by somebody who actually knows something about it. Because every ship that I was on in the Tramper range, not the Royal Navy range, were always filled with music. It shortened the day, made life a bit more bearable. No air conditioning. You didn't have hot and cold water, you just had the warm water that the heat through the hull had warmed it up. But I'm rambling again. And all it was really was to pass on about cruising, the crime rate, and how the American Gestapo virtually taken over reporting and investigation. And they can sue me for that because they haven't got any money anyway. So, but if they want a cat, I've got one sitting over there or laying over there. Enjoy what you're doing. Hopefully we might see each other before Christmas. Doubtful, but you never know. In the meantime, have a magnificent day, my friends, and I mean that.